That is a lot of resonance. When you wail on the gong, it goes on and on. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I am Pastor Eric Halseth. I use he, they pronouns, and welcome to everyone here in the sanctuary on this fine Easter day, and welcome to all of you on Zoom, wherever you may be. Whether you've been attending this church for decades or it's your first time here, I am glad you have joined us. This community is the special place that it is, precisely because it is made up of people with many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders, and all are welcome here. All right, announcements. We have a lot today. I've been sparing you for a few weeks, and we're back with a full roster. Next week is the Earth Day Luncheon after the multi-generational service. The foods are going to be earth-friendly if we can, but we need people, if we want to have that potluck, to volunteer to bring some food. So contact Michael Act 7 and let him know that you are going to bring a dish. Next Friday, the 10th of April at 6 p.m. is our game night. Reach out to Phil Wiseman if you want to find out anything more about it, or Rob March, although he's out of town, I think, for the next couple of days. And game night is always a lot of fun. Sometimes pizza, mostly the time there's pizza, and snacks and things like that. So come to game night for some fun tabletop gaming. The other thing that was on the calendar for this week, online pub theology, I am canceling or postponing it maybe for a week or so because I am busy doing some painting in Classroom 5, and I'm going to be doing some painting on Monday morning and Wednesday. If you would like to help, please reach out to me. I already have a little bit of help, but I see you nodding, Dawn. It's all good. I promise. So this Thursday, the 9th, CUPS, the Covenant of UU Pagans, Green Circle, is going to meet in the East alcove back here. So if you're interested in that, the flyer I had a phone number. Reach out to the church office to ask for more information. I'm not sure whose phone number it was. But anyways, Thursday at, I think it's 6, but please check. And we'll put it in the newsletter. And since it's the first time it's been meeting in a long time, maybe a special email will go out. This week, you are going to get a pair of emails. They're going to have a link in them. The links are going to go to a form. The form is for commentary. We have 2 things that we're doing, and we want to hear from members of the church and friends and other folks your thoughts on these 2 things, and I'm going to tell you what they are now. So look for these emails and click on the form. One is a church rental. We are talking about renting church space to another church. So they're a progressive, affirming Christian church. I guess it's fitting that I'm talking about this on Easter, and we want to hear what you think. They are planning on meeting here in the sanctuary at 4 p.m., provided this all goes through. And it is a rental. It would be, just letting you know, a good thing for us. And the other thing is, we are contemplating sponsoring a scout troop. And, given that some of us maybe have different experiences with Scouts over the year, we also want to hear from you, your thoughts on doing that. And as sponsors, we're not really doing anything other than providing a space, and the Scout troop would be an affirming Scout troop that would live into our values. So it is not maybe things you might imagine about some of things in the past, let's say. Anyways, look for those 2 emails, give us comments, and as we make the decision and finish this discernment for both of these things, your commentary is more than valued. It'll be invaluable in how we make these decisions. The other announcement, and sorry for the long announcements, but it is April and it is Stewardship Month, so the last one is stewardship. We appreciate everyone who has already submitted a pledge card. If you received phone calls or visits and talked to people either of the last 2 years, you would be in that 2/3 of the church. You will not be getting a phone call. You should have gotten in the last week or maybe tomorrow a letter from the church along with a pledge card. And so turn those in, please. If you didn't get a letter, odds are you're in the last third of people who will be getting a phone call in the next 2 weeks. And all the person will do on the phone is they're not trying to sell you a car or a timeshare. They are just reminding you to fill out your pledge card. And I am not making a pitch to you right now for anything. I'm just telling you, please look for that and, turn in your pledges. You can do it. There are many different ways, online, in person. Tell Jen, tell me, we will verify with you. But we're trying to get it done by the 22nd. Oh, and here's what a pledge card looks like. It's this color or a different color, and you're going to get a letter. I forgot to tear it out of the book and show it to you, but it's not that exciting because you can't read it from where you're sitting. All right. Yes? Oh, my gosh. Didn't make it on there. Thank you. Tessa Weeks Memorial Service is this coming Saturday at 1 p.m. here in the sanctuary. I hope that all of you will show up and honor her life. So, 1 p.m. here in the sanctuary. All right. And let me remind you that there are even more announcements. In UUCV this week, look for it in your email. If you're not getting it, you can sign up in the lobby or with Jen during the week. Our land acknowledgement lifts up the Chumash of Ventura, who have stewarded their ancestral and unceded territory for at least the last 11,000 years. This service takes place on the very same land. We honor their ancestors, elders, and descendants as they continue their deep spiritual and cultural connections to these lands and waters. Sometimes we are asked to enter sacred space that feels comfortable. Sometimes we are asked to enter sacred space that feels uncomfortable. Today might be one. It might be the other. Or it might be both, possibly at the same time. However you are feeling, ask yourself why. And ask yourself what would happen if you leaned in just a little more. This is sacred space. May it be so.
I'm Worship Associate Celia Ortenberg. If you are joining us on Zoom or YouTube, we invite you to light a chalice or a candle at home as Pastor Eric and Luciano and CJ and Violet, light the chalice here in our sanctuary. Yeah, just put it down there. That's great. Thank you. It's so wonderful to have young people participating up here. It brings me joy. May this shared flame connect us all, whether we are near or far. The call to worship this morning is World Soul by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Thanks to the morning light, thanks to the foaming sea, to the hills above our coastline, to the green-haired forest free. Thanks to everyone of courage, to folks of holy mind, to the child with their games undaunted, who never look behind. Spring still makes spring in the mind when 60 years are told. Love wakes anew this throbbing heart, and we are never old. Over the winter glaciers, I see the summer glow, and through the wild piled snowdrift, the warm rosebuds below.
You start. Hat Palmer, who wrote this is from the new hymnal. He's a member of the Emerson UU Church in Canoga Park. So that's where the new songs are coming from, is from members of congregations around the country, including our neighbors. And if anyone here has a hymn stuffed away that they've written, submit it to the hymnal. Take it away, Zach.
Good morning. Thank you. Hi, I'm Zach Spencer. I invite you all to rise in body or in spirit as you're able, as we tackle a brand new tune and a brand new set of lyrics. Come gather round, come join us now, guided in freedom by reason and choice. Come gather round, come join us now, to value each person and hear every voice. Come ye, pagans and Christians, Hindus and Buddhists, Muslims and Jews, and welcome all non-believers. Join in this colorful bouquet of views. Come gather round, come join us now. Respecting the life, we stand unified. Come enter now the sacred place where freedom of thought will not be denied. Come ye, rebels and mavericks, questioning views you were long ago taught. Welcome, mystics and skeptics, wanderers, searchers, explorers of thought. Come ye, dreamers and doubters, seekers and searchers of beauty and grace. Come ye, evolving and changing. If you're still going, you found the right place. Come gather round, come join us now, each guided in freedom by reason and choice. Come gather round, come join us now, to value each person and hear every voice. Hear every voice.
And now I'd like to invite all of our young folks or young at heart to join me up front for the story and gather up the donations for Ride Alliance 805 and Poder Popular as you come to the front. So look around, if you're coming up here, and grab the food. Oh, you can sit right here. The kids are all. Well, today is a new story called 2 More Days to Mount Wu Tai. Long ago in Tang, China, that was a really long time ago, there was an old monk going on a pilgrimage to Mount Wu Tai, the home of Manjusri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. The monk was slowly walking on his journey alone, relying on the kindness of strangers along the way to both rest and to eat. After many long months of traveling, the old monk gazed upward and saw the majestic sight of Mount Wu Tai in the distance. By the roadside, there was a woman working in a field. Stopping his walk for a moment and taking a long drink from his water bottle, the monk asked, "Please tell me, how much longer before I meet Manjusri at Mount Wu Tai?" The woman just looked at him, uttered a sound that sounded like a scoffing noise, and returned to tending her crops. After waiting patiently for a moment, he repeated the question a second time, and then a third time. But with each of these 2 attempts, the woman ignored him and kept to her gardening. Thinking that the woman must not be able to hear him, he decided to push on. After he had taken a few dozen steps, he heard the woman call out to him, "2 more days. It will take you 2 more days." Somewhat annoyed, the monk turned back to her and responded, "I thought you were unable to hear me. Why didn't you answer my question earlier?" The woman replied, "You asked the question while you were standing still, venerable sir. I had to see how fast your pace was, how determined was your walk toward the Bodhisattva of wisdom." And with that, she returned to her work. And 2 days later, the monk reached his destination, having learned a valuable lesson. The journey will take the time that it takes. And that's our story for today. So now we're going to sing you out and join together in the arch, the Bridge of Love. If you're new, just follow along. And please own your personal space as it makes you feel comfortable.
Each Sunday, this congregation gives away our entire offering to organizations doing meaningful work in the wider community or to funds that support people within our own church. This practice is one of sharing what we have, and caring for one another is one of the many ways we keep love at the center of our lives. You can give by texting to give, or if you're here in the sanctuary, you can place cash or a check in a box at the back of the wall, back there, during the offertory music or after the service. This week's offering goes to our InReach Outreach Fund, which helps people in our congregation and people who come to our attention for whom a timely but relatively small financial gift could make a big difference. We were recently contacted by a man who provides advocacy and caretaking for seniors. A senior on limited income himself, he assists folks with getting the benefits they are entitled to and also takes them grocery shopping and helps them find places to live. When he could not afford new tires, the people he helps took up collection and they paid to replace his front tires. Our InReach Outreach Fund was able to pay for the back tires so he could safely continue his mission of helpfulness and also be safe. This fund was also used to help a woman who was living in her car. She was working 2 jobs to pay her credit card bills, but had to quit one to take care of her ailing and sore body. She asked for, and we paid and provided a baby crib mattress to put into her car so she could sleep more comfortably. Thank you for your generosity that allows us to provide help to folks in our church and the greater community when they are in need but have few options. The generosity of this congregation helps create a more just and loving world.
We take time each week in our service to share with one another both the sorrows and the joys that have come into our lives. We place stones in water as each joy or sorrow is shared, to help us remember that we are not alone. Each stone sends ripples out that reflect the ways in which that which touches one of us touches us all. In joy and in sorrow, we hold one another in love. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share during a service, you can submit it via our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. If it's in by 8 o'clock on Saturday, it will usually be included in the next Sunday service. I invite you now to share aloud the names of those you wish to celebrate, memorialize, or bring into the loving embrace of this beloved community. Martha, Linda, David.
John Torres.
Pastor Eric will now place one final stone into the water for all the joys and sorrows just shared and those yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be grateful for all that sustains us on the journey we share, and for the ways we remain present for one another in times of joy, in times of sorrow, and in all the spaces in between.
Please remain seated as we sing the hymn, Be the Peace. There are 4 different sections to it, and if you don't have your own personal copy, there's a few extras up here if you want to look at that. And
Today's reading is from Alex Klinenberg and is titled, Create Something New. A pattern, a recipe, a story, a poem. Plant a seed, be metaphorical. Now is not the time to be boring. Get inventive, get bold, get weird and outlandish. Get uncomfortable, vulnerably. Construct a new status quo. Figure out your deepest, wildest, most expansive dreams for the world and write them down. Build them up. Begin, conceive, create, birth, open. If ever there was a time for you to become who you've always dreamed you could be, it is now, when the rules are soft and the edges are blurred, and the world is blinking into an uncertain future. Be the future that comes into sharp focus. Tell the truth, the absolute truth. Spare none of the details. The only way through this mutually assured creation.
I invite you now into a time of meditation. Place your feet upon the floor, close your eyes if you wish, and breathe in and breathe out. Noticing your breath both as it comes in and it goes out. Breathe in and bring love into your life. Breathe out and let suffering go. Breathe in and feel the tenseness of perfectionism in your shoulders. Breathe out and let the world you understand letting go. Breathe in and cry with the sacred. Breathe out, letting your laughter mingle with the laugh of the sacred. Know that as you breathe, the sacred breathes with you. Relax in this moment and just breathe.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, a new life for me. in the sun. You know what I mean. Don't you know butterflies all having fun? You know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done. That's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. This freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. For me. And I'm feeling good.
Thank you, Zach. Friends, welcome on this fine Easter morning. This is a season when the world seems to lean toward life again. The light lingers a little longer in the evening, the earth softens, green returns for a time, blossoms insist on blooming, and across cultures and centuries, human beings have marked this turning with stories, rituals, and names that help us make meaning of renewal. For Christians, this is Easter, the story of Jesus, of crucifixion and grief, of resistance to empire, of the tomb, and of resurrection. For others, looking farther back into older seasonal rhythms, this is also the time of Ostara, associated in modern imagination with springtime, dawn, and the old name Eostre, however dimly and imperfectly history may remember her now. Both holidays, in very different ways, point toward a similar human intuition, that life can return, that what seemed lost may not be gone forever, that the world is more given to rebirth than despair would have us to believe. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we do not all come to these stories in the same way. Some of us hear Easter with a deep affection. Some hear it with distance, caution, or complicated memory. Some resonate more readily with the turning of the seasons than with the language of resurrection. And many of us, perhaps most of us, come not asking first, did this happen exactly this way, but rather, what truth lives within this story? That is where metaphor becomes holy. Because the Bible, like so much sacred literature, need not be reduced either to literal fact or dismissed as meaningless. It can speak in symbol, in poetry, in image, in deep human truth. And so perhaps we can hear the resurrection of Jesus not only as a claim, but about one moment long ago, but as a living metaphor for our own lives. Perhaps we can hear the rolling back of the stone, not only as an event in a story, but as an image of what happens when something sealed shut in us begins to open. When grief loosens, when fear gives way, when despair no longer gets the final word, when life somehow begins to move again. And so today, we gather in spirit, not to force one belief, but to listen for deeper invitation, to ask what stones in our own lives might yet be rolled away, to ask what renewal might be stirring in us, among us, and before us. This, too, is a season of renewal in the life of the church. We are nearing the end of one church year and beginning to imagine the shape of the next. That in itself is a threshold moment. It's a time when we look back with gratitude, honesty, and maybe a little fatigue, and also look forward with hope, intention, and a renewed sense of calling. It is stewardship season, which means it is one of those times when we are invited to ask not only what this church means to us, but what we mean to the church. What are we willing to sustain? What are we willing to strengthen? What kind of community are we helping to carry into the year ahead? And do not worry, the whole sermon is not about stewardship. And all around us, spring is making those questions viable. This is a time of year when things get spruced up. Trees are trimmed, classrooms are refreshed, building and grounds work, spring cleaning, if you will, continues, often quietly, often without fanfare, but always part of the larger work of making this place ready for life, ready for welcome, ready for what comes next. Renewal is not only an inward feeling, it is also paint, pruning, planning, fixing, cleaning, clearing, tending. It is care made visible. It is love taking material form. And that is part of what stewardship is too. Stewardship is not simply about paying bills or balancing a budget. It is about renewing our commitment to the shared life of this congregation. It is about saying in ways both spiritual and practical that this community matters, that its ministry matters, that its future matters. In that sense, stewardship belongs perfectly in this season. It is one of the ways we roll the stone back a little further. It is one of the ways we make room for what wants to come alive. And that brings me to the deeper spiritual tension at the heart of this season. Yes and no. We often think of renewal as a grand yes. Yes to life. Yes to hope. Yes to the future. Yes to possibility. And certainly, yes matters. Saying yes opens opportunities for each of us. Yes can be expansive, courageous, and life-giving. Saying yes is often how we begin anew. But the word no has its own holiness. No is actually a freeing word. No protects what is essential in our lives, and it helps set healthy boundaries. The sacred no names what we can no longer continue and be true to ourselves. No refuses what is deadening, dishonest, or destructive. We do not celebrate no as easily as we celebrate yes, but often it is the word no that clears the road for a deeper and truer yes to emerge. Without no, we can't protect integrity. Without no, we can't set boundaries. Without no, we cannot refuse a life that leaves us spiritually moribund and ethically asleep. So renewal is not about saying yes to everything. It is not about pretending that every demand on us is sacred or that every inherited habit deserves to continue or that every old fear must still govern us. Renewal may begin, in fact, with a faithful no. No to what keeps us stuck, no to what keeps us afraid, no to what asks us to live half awake, no to what seals us up inside of ourselves. And then, from that clearing of our spiritual and emotional to-do list comes yes. Yes to what gives life. Yes to what deepens community. Yes to a beautifully lived life. yes to self-care, yes to courageous action, and yes to the next sacred step in our lives. The effects of saying yes and no are true in our personal lives. The effects are true in our spiritual lives. And it is true in the life of this church. A church in renewal says no to scarcity of spirit, no to drifting away from our value and mission, no to resignation that the life of this congregation is predestined to be a certain thing, no to the quiet assumption that things will somehow take care of themselves. And then the church says yes. Yes to tending the ground, yes to new purposes, yes to showing up, yes to generosity, yes to shared responsibility, yes to becoming once again the community we are called to be. And yes to another year of growth, both spiritual and personal. This is what makes stewardship more than fundraising. It is a spiritual practice of yes, born from all the necessary no's that have helped clear the way. No, we will not let this community be sustained only by inertia. No, we will not assume that love can remain an abstract concept. No, we're not going to leave the future to chance. And so, yes, we will invest in what we cherish. Yes, we will help renew this place. Yes, we will take part in what comes next. That is the work before us in this season of spring. That is the invitation of Easter's metaphorical stone rolling away. That is what it can mean to renew our commitment to the church, not simply to admire the possibility of new life, but to make room for it, and to make room for it together. As I hinted at while talking about stewardship, this is not only a time of renewal for the church, but it can be for each of us too. And that is part of what makes Easter both powerful and a little complicated in a Unitarian Universalist church. It is worth saying that plainly. For many people, Easter carries beauty. Memory, music, flowers, tenderness, family, the hush of a sanctuary church, the feeling that spring itself is preaching to us. But for others, Easter carries something harder. Pressure, literalism, exclusion, or the ache of old theological and religious discomfort. And many UUs, perhaps most of us, do not always quite know what to do with it. Do we lean in? Do we step back? Do we reinterpret? That discomfort is real, and I think it's better named than we avoid not talking about it, or avoid talking about it. That'd be a better way of saying that. For me, part of that naming comes through my own Catholic experience. In that world, Easter was often presented as something to be believed in a literal, doctrinal sense. And I do not want to dismiss the power of that. There was grandeur in it, and ritual strength, and solemnity, and emotional force. It could be beautiful. But as a child, I had a mountain of trouble with the literal telling of the story. And that, among other things, resulted in me leaving the Catholic Church around 12. But as an adult, specifically while I was in seminary, I found that the literal demands of the Easter story mattered less to me than the symbolic and spiritual truth the story carried. I came to believe that the Bible can be true without always being factual in the modern literalist sense of the word. A story can be true without always, can hold profound truth as metaphor, symbol, and spiritual language. It can tell the truth not because it works like a newspaper account of an event, but because it reveals something real about human life: fear, grief, hope, and transformation. And that is where Easter opens up for me now. It stops being a test of whether I can force myself into one kind of belief and becomes instead a question. What rises again? What begins to move after being sealed in fear? What rolls forward when we thought the story was over? That is why the image at the heart of Easter still matters to me, especially in a sermon called Rolling Toward Renewal. The stone is rolled away, and even if we hear that metaphorically, the image still carries power. It is an image of blockage giving way. It is an image of what has been sealed up becoming open. It's an image of grief being interrupted just when it assumed that everything final had already happened. So rolling toward renewal can name the rolling away of stones in our own lives. It can name that movement from enclosure to possibility. It can name the first trembling motion of life after despair. The power of the Easter story read in this way is not that it asks us to deny death, pain, loss, or rupture. It is that it insists that deathliness does not get the final word. And perhaps that is one way to speak of resurrection in a UU key. Resurrection can look like life returning after loss, courage returning after fear, hope returning after numbness, community returning after fragmentation, purpose returning after drift. None of that erases what has happened. None of that means our wounds aren't real. Excuse the double negative, but renewal is not pretending nothing happened, and it is not naive optimism. The risen life in Christian imagination is not simply the old life restarted as if nothing happened. It is a transformed life, life on the other side of a rupture, a life marked by the suffering that has happened but not forever contained within that suffering. And that matters to me as a Unitarian Universalist because I do not think a mature faith asks us to check our honesty at the door. I think a mature faith asks whether we are willing to receive wisdom from traditions without surrendering our freedom. I think it asks whether we can let one sacred reality be named through many stories, many symbols, many languages of the holy and sacred. UU faith does not need to reject every inherited religious image in order to remain free. In fact, sometimes freedom means we are free enough to listen again, free enough to reinterpret, free enough to ask not only whether a story is historically literal, but whether it is spiritually alive. So perhaps the point of Easter in a modern UU church is not agreement on doctrine or lack thereof. Perhaps the point is learning what life-giving meaning we are willing to receive. Perhaps Easter becomes for us a brave yes. Yes to symbolic truth. Yes to renewal. Yes to ancient language that still carries the human story. Yes to the possibility that life can move again. And if that is so, then Easter is not only about what happened to Jesus a long time ago. It is also about us, about what in us has been sealed shut, about what in us is ready to open, about what stone at last is beginning to roll. May it be so, blessed be, and amen.
I invite you all to rise in body or in spirit as you're able, as we sing yet another brand new hymn. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and
After the benediction, there will be coffee, tea, bagels, and conversation in Berg Hall through both these sets of doors. There, we hope you will come and stay and chat. If you are a visitor today, we invite you to get refreshments and then take them to the Connecting Center, which is right through here. There's a big sign overhead for a friendly chat, and there's another table nearby where you can find information about Unitarian Universalism in general or about this congregation specifically. And finally, if you haven't done so yet, you can, at the end of the service, drop your offering for the UUCV InReach Outreach program in the box at the back of the wall. And now, please join me in the reading of the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, those we carry into our lives until we are together again.
Easter, metaphorically, is the promise that endings are not always final. And stewardship is one of the ways that we make that promise tangible in congregational life. Renewal is not only something we hope for, it is something we carry, shape, and set in motion, whether for ourselves or for this church. So the invitation this week is to say no to what keeps you entombed emotionally and spiritually. Say yes to what opens up your life, and to join in the life of this congregation. May it be so, blessed be, and amen.